And now, if you want to join me again, it's time for Dodger Baseball.
Well, it was those 5 words. The voice of the Dodgers would bring Los Angeles to life. And it's those 5 words that will echo in the hearts of Dodgers fans. Because for 67 years, that's how legendary broadcaster Vin Scully began each game. This evening, we honor the one and only man who became known as the poet laureate of the Dodgers. Scully died last night at the age of 94, and although he was born in New York, he will forevermore hold a spot in the heart of L.A. Here's one of Vin's close friends and another legendary broadcaster, the Spanish voice of the Dodgers, Jaime Jarrín.
He was a friend, he was a mentor, he was my teacher, and he was everything to me and to my family. When Steve Brenner and Eric Riverman called me to give me the sad news, I couldn't hold my voice. I started crying. It was a very tough night for me. I couldn't sleep at all, thinking of how wonderful this person was.
Considering what Vin Scully meant to Los Angeles, it is only fitting that his name be immortalized at the entrance to Dodger Stadium. And it is there where fans have begun their heartfelt tribute since last night, of course, all day as well. But now, even once those tributes are gone, there's going to be murals like the one that you see behind me here, continuing to remind us all of Vin's legacy here in Los Angeles. Joining us now tonight is Kristen Lago from the place, I will say, where it all began. Kristen, good evening.
You said it best, Bianca, and fans have been coming by this place where it all began all day long, looking to pay tribute to someone they described to me as an icon, a legend, and a member of their family. And fans have been coming from all over Southern California. I spoke with people from Bakersfield, Orange County, Pasadena, LA, and everywhere in between, all looking to pay tribute to the late, great Vin Scully. And what has been really cool to see about this makeshift memorial is that it was one created by fans of all ages. The Dodgers were actually hosting a junior Dodgers camp today, so we saw some kids between 8 to 10 years old coming by with their parents, their moms and dads, looking to instill the legacy of Vin Scully in them as well. To an LA native and baseball fan like Brad Cocking, walking up to Dodger Stadium, there's just one word that comes to mind.
Yeah, this is home.
Memories of a place he grew up in and a voice he grew up hearing.
During the weeknights when the game started earlier in the evening, I just remember the greatest memory I have is my dad's barbecuing in the backyard. We're playing pickle, and you could hear the TV on with Vin talking, and we'd run in when a good play happened so we could all see it together.
Vin Scully, a voice synonymous with the Dodgers, but a voice Brad says meant so much more.
Los Angeles Dodgers have just about done the impossible.
She's that comfort, you know, when everything is crazy, when the riots were going on, when everything bad happened, the wars and stuff, and you turn on a baseball game and you hear Vin Scully talking, it was just, you're home.
Just one day after hearing the tragic news of Scully's passing, Brad found himself back at Dodger Stadium, this time watching his son Blake participate in a junior Dodgers camp. Seeing his son run around the iconic grass and smile up at the stadium around him, Brad was confident that Scully's love and passion for the game was being carried on.
Today, you know, if I'm watching TV and it's a 1-10 game or a 4-10 game and my son's in the other room doing something, I'll just yell out, "Hey, Blake, what time is it?" He's like, "It's time for Dodger baseball." So,
though many of the campers, like Blake, who is 10 years old, were too young to actually take in many of Scully's iconic calls. As they came to pay their respects at the makeshift memorial after camp, Blake and his friend Xander told me Vin Scully was someone they knew was important.
Vin Scully was an announcer for the Los Angeles Dodgers for 67 years. Also, he was the announcer for the Brooklyn Dodgers before they moved to LA.
And every time the game would start, he would say, "It's time for Dodger baseball."
Someone who would always be remembered.
My dad taught me that he was with the Dodgers for a long time and helping them.
And that's the beauty of someone like Vin Scully. He transcended generations.
just his desire and his love for the game is what I think reflects on everybody else.
Brad taking a second to look back on a great life that was, and a legacy he knows will continue to live on. We do expect this memorial to continue to grow as the week goes on. Fans, of course, heartbroken over this news, but just looking to feel a little closer to Vin here at Dodger Stadium. Amrit?
And there's joy in it too, Kristen. Thank you for showing us those kids who are becoming Vin Scully historians themselves, as we all were, simply by viewing those broadcasts. Vin Scully has a broadcast record for most seasons with a single franchise, but he was a beloved voice far beyond Dodger Nation. And it's not just because he worked on a national level and spoke to many sports. It's also because he had that uncommon gift to make people feel like he was talking just to them. Folksy charm, masterful expertise. Logan Hall spoke to a diehard Dodgers fan who tells us what Vin meant to him.
Dodger blue bleeds much deeper than just the city of Los Angeles. Today, that sorrow is felt all the way out in San Bernardino County as fans mourn the loss of legendary Dodgers broadcaster Vin Scully. Superfan Bob Ramirez, known affectionately to Dodger fans as Beer Salt Bob, is one of the Dodgers faithful, paying tribute to his hero.
Vin was the Dodgers to us. I mean, if you were listening to the Dodgers, you were listening to Vin.
Bob has been a Dodger fan from the day he was born. Players have come and gone, but there was always one constant: the man calling the games.
That voice is into our brains that it'll never go away. But more importantly, I think it's because it's in our hearts.
Bob has many memories of Vin Scully, from all the no-hitters he called to the many postseason wins. But one night in October of 1988 stands out above them all.
High fly ball into right field. She is gone! In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened.
For the Dodgers to win it in '88 and to hear Vin make that first call in that game one, it was incredible. That carried us through, definitely.
It's a difficult day for Dodger fans everywhere, but Bob is cherishing the memories he has and the voice that has been the soundtrack to his fandom.
You know, Vin said himself that he had a running commentary with fans, and so it's appropriate that we look to social media and all the voices. Here's Mayor Eric Garcetti tweeting Vin Scully's passing as the end of a chapter of our city's history. He united us, inspired us, and showed us all what it meant to serve. Our city hall will be lit up for you tomorrow, Vin, our dear friend at Voice of LA. Thank you from a grateful and loving city. And it is lit up tonight. We'll be right back.
Time now for weather on the ones. A nice evening for a baseball game. The Athletics are in town against the Angels at Angel Stadium. First pitch at 6:38. Right around first pitch, temperatures in the low 80s, so nice and warm for a ball game. By about 8 p.m., seventh inning stretch, temperatures in the middle 70s and not cooling off too much. By the end of the game, we're looking at temperatures in the low 70s under partly cloudy skies. That's your weather on the ones.
The Lord has blessed me. He gave me this job at such a youthful age and allowed me to live and do it 67 years. Sandy into his windup. Here's the pitch. Swung on and missed. A perfect game.
In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened.
What I loved was the roar of the crowd. For a little while, when that crowd is roaring, I'm 8 years old.
Got it. He's done it.
You and I have been
Los Angeles and fans from all over are continuing to mourn the loss of legendary Dodgers broadcaster Vin Scully. The Dodgers are taking on the Giants tonight in San Fran, where Scully announced his last game. Dodgers manager Dave Roberts has some heartfelt words about Vin after their win last night.
I think there's endless amounts of people that consider him family and part of their families. This is a guy that was not only the voice of Dodger baseball, but baseball in general. And he was into so many homes. And it's a legacy of longevity, it's class, and I used the phrase earlier, is he was a gentleman.
Joining us right now is Dodgers play-by-play announcer Charlie Steiner. Charlie, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Well, sure. Tell us about your relationship with Vin over the years.
My relationship with Vin began when I was 5 years old as a kid on Long Island who wanted to be just like Vin. The first time I heard a baseball game on the radio, I said, this is what I want to be when I grow up. the sound of the crowd, the crack of the bat, and there was 25-year-old Vin Scully's voice. And I thought, wow, this is just so cool. So I knew at the age of 5 what I wanted to be. I just wasn't sure how I could get there. And through good luck, serendipity, and my career, I joined the Dodgers 18 years ago, and Vin was there to greet me. When I was trying to break the news to my mom that I was going to be moving to the West Coast, she was 94, and my dad had just passed away a couple of months earlier. I wasn't quite sure how to break the news to her. And so I drove home that day and I said, do you remember the team I grew up rooting for? And she said, yes, the Brooklyn Dodgers. Do you remember the first stadium that Pop took me to? Yes, Ebbets Field. Do you remember the name of the announcer who I wanted to be like as a kid? She couldn't remember. And I said, Vin Scully. And she said, oh, good. When do we move to Los Angeles? She did. And she passed away out here. She was able to hear her son broadcast. But as I was telling her this, as we were walking through this process, the phone rings. And I look down, there's a 323 area code on the phone. And I pick it up. Hello, Charlie, it's Vin. I just want to welcome you to the Dodger family. That call came in the home in which I grew up, where I first listened to Vin, where I went downstairs to the basement to turn the TV sound down. And there he was 65 years later, 55 years later, I guess it was, in my ear, welcoming me to the Dodgers. So I could not have been more lucky. I was just dumb lucky.
Well, yeah, it's funny you say that because I think Joe Davis just had the same thing. I think Vin left a message on his voicemail and saying, "Hey, Joe, welcome to the." What a welcoming guy! I mean, he's a legend. No, I'm sorry, he's an icon, and he still gets the time.
He's larger than that. You know, Vin is Vin, and one of the things I've learned a lot from Vin over the years. And you know, I was with him, and we last spoke just a couple of weeks ago. Vin was so smart, so grounded, had a vocabulary that was spectacular, had a facile mind, so that things that came quickly for most of us came slowly for him. And I learned a lot from Vin, and not necessarily on the air. And you know, the fact that he welcomed me. Now, when there is a new broadcaster that comes to the Dodgers, I will call them just to share that welcome. And for all those years, when he was with us together, I guess 13, 14 years I was with him before he retired, Vin, the late Billy DeLury, Rick Monday, and I would have dinner every night before games, or a day game, and we'd have lunch. And over the years, it was probably over 1,000 dinners. And what I learned from Vin goes above and beyond broadcasting and the call of a play. We would talk about everything. We would talk about stuff, life, music, sports, politics, occasionally baseball. And he was just so bright and so well grounded, and I've been saying this all day. He was the fulcrum in my seesaw of life. He was rock steady. And
and it seems
I learned something.
Yeah, you're not alone in that. And well, I tell you what, I appreciate you making people feel good watching the Dodgers and keeping that line going. I'm sure Vin appreciates that well right now, wherever he is. Thank you so much, Charlie Steiner. We will be back with more news on Spectrum News 1. Stay with us.
We've made it to the halfway point here tonight on your evening, so let's talk about COVID-19 vaccines. Yep, first we had Pfizer and Moderna, right? Then J&J, and then the boosters, of course. Now Novavax doses are available right here in LA County. So this is why this is important. You have the Novavax shot. It's a bit more traditional, if you will, a protein-based vaccine akin to Hep B, for example, or HPV vaccinations. While Pfizer and Moderna, they were made with the newer mRNA technology. LA County's public health director, Dr. Barbara Ferrer, said the speed at which those mRNA vaccines were made, that's what kind of made some people hesitant right about it. But Novavax, it could potentially change all of that.
Because some residents were hesitant to be vaccinated with the mRNA vaccine, the Pfizer vaccine and the Moderna vaccine. Having an FDA-approved vaccine that was developed with a more traditional technology may be exactly what some residents are waiting for.
The FDA has only approved Novavax's 2-dose regimen for adults, though. These shots will be available at traditional vaccine sites and mobile clinics. Rachel Menitoff gives us a closer look.
There's a new form of the COVID vaccine now available here in LA County. I'm Rachel Menitoff in South LA at a clinic which is rolling out Novavax. And healthcare professionals say they're hopeful that people who aren't yet vaccinated will give this one a chance. It's another tool in the fight against COVID. St. John's Well Child and Family Center is one of several LA County clinics now giving out the Novavax COVID vaccine. Vivian Vaughn is a nurse practitioner.
I've even started today trying to educate my patients on the need to have the vaccine.
She estimates that between 50 and 80% of her patients who haven't been vaccinated will now opt for Novavax. Wednesday is the first day that it's available at vaccine sites in LA County. And it's a little bit different than the existing Pfizer and Moderna, which use mRNA technology. Novavax is a protein-based shot similar to traditional vaccines like shingles and tetanus. Vaughn says for people who may have been hesitant to take Pfizer or Moderna, this one might be a good alternative.
Novavax has been researched, it's traditional. It has taken some time to come out, so they want to rather have the Novavax as against the other vaccines.
Here we have our new vaccine that we just received.
The South LA facility received its first 300 doses. Carlos Ibarra is the director of operations here.
Since this one was a little bit longer, it really just identifies and separates itself from the regular Pfizer vaccines that come in a standard vial.
The FDA gave it emergency
really
use authorization on July 13th and says the 2-dose shot is 90% effective against severe disease. But it's important to keep in mind that if you've already had a Pfizer or Moderna shot, you're not eligible to get Novavax. But if you are,
that's going to give them some confidence to want to get it. So
Vaughn believes this option could be a game changer in reducing the risk of COVID.
Of course, there's still so much to talk about with that coronavirus vaccine, SARS-CoV-2, but we are also talking about the monkeypox virus, and it is spreading. It hasn't really risen to epidemic levels yet. The World Health Organization is, however, saying that California and LA County have all announced states of emergency. Those declarations on the local level allow emergency medical services personnel throughout the state to administer FDA-approved monkeypox vaccines. LA County's first clinics opened today. Right now, there are about 6,300 cases of monkeypox reported in the United States. That's roughly triple the number of cases from just 2 weeks ago, and more than 10 times higher compared to a month ago. About half of all confirmed cases are in New York and in California. LA County is reporting more than 400 cases, and within that data, there's one particular demographic that is getting hit the hardest. Zarina Kharzadeh shares with us how health stigmas impact the gay community and why the LA LGBT Center is calling on health officers to make their messaging more clear.
After looking up monkeypox on Google, Nick Ferrara quickly realized it's not something he wants to experience.
I've just heard it's really painful and it looks gross and can leave scars.
These images show what monkeypox can look like. According to the CDC, symptoms include painful rashes that look like pimples and often come with flu-like symptoms. The viral disease can spread through close, personal, and often skin-to-skin contact. As of Tuesday, over 1,100 cases have been reported in California, with over 90% of cases among gay and lesbian individuals. Nick says he recently opted to get the vaccine, but he's disappointed in the perception that this disease is linked to the LGBTQIA community, when this could happen to anyone. On Tuesday, Long Beach health officials announced the city's first presumed case in a child.
I feel like we should have outgrown this kind of blame at this point, that someone's responsible versus anyone. I mean, after COVID, it's like we're all socially responsible for everyone.
Joe Hollendonor is the CEO of the Los Angeles LGBT Center. He says there are similarities in how the HIV/AIDS epidemic had been perceived and how the latest monkeypox outbreak is being viewed in the community. He says the messaging from our city, state, and federal officials is needed to show that this is not a demographic health issue.
While monkeypox is primarily amongst gay and bisexual men at this time, anyone can get it. And so that's why we're so encouraged that Governor Newsom and other leaders have announced that monkeypox is a public health crisis because it affects everyone, not just the LGBT community.
In the meantime, Nick hopes the vaccine will help protect his health.
I think we should all be concerned about our health, and I think we should all do our part to protect ourselves and therefore protect everyone else around us.
A stigma that marginalizes a community hoping to get through this outbreak together.
LA City Council is considering boosting its police presence in Hollywood as the area has experienced a spike in crime over the past 7 months. According to City Council member Mitch O'Farrell's office, Hollywood has seen a 75% increase in homicides and a 35% increase in shots fired. Robbery and theft have risen by 19% and 25% respectively compared to the same period last year. Council member O'Farrell has proposed paying for increased patrols by using $216,000 from LA City's budget. LA City leaders broke ground on the first phase of a 5-acre from homeless to homeowner campus. It's part of a program that will provide 40 units of interim housing for families and more than 100 affordable apartments and townhomes for ownership. Two organizations, the Whole Child and Habitat for Humanity, are developing both projects. And we are continuing to honor the legendary Dodger broadcaster Vin Scully. More on his life and legacy right after the break. Stay with us.
Time now for weather on the ones, your beach forecast for you. So Frank, Tropical Storm Frank, the swell is fading from that, so surf getting smaller. Best waves will be in North OC about 3 to 5 feet. It's still a high risk of rip tides or rip currents. Be aware of that if you're heading to the beach. Watch out for the little ones. Water temperatures anywhere from 70 to about 74 degrees. Air temperatures during the afternoon basically in the 70s, from low 70s to upper 70s. A nice day to head to the beach. Be careful out there.
Well, this evening, we continue to honor the late Dodgers broadcaster Vin Scully. Throughout his decades-long career, he touched the lives of so many people, so many countless baseball fans all over several generations as well. We've heard from some of them tonight, from his friend and colleague Jaime Jarrín. And right here is current Dodgers third baseman and Long Beach native Justin Turner. Listen.
It's always cool when there's a game on from 14 or 15 or 16 and, I'm in the lineup and I get to hear Vin tell one of his classic stories, while I'm standing in the box. And, it's even cooler when you do something special or get a big hit to hear him kind of pump you up and encourage you, knowing, all the great players that he's announced before you and to have your name come out of his mouth is, something I'll never forget.
For a look back tonight on Vin's life and legacy, here's Beyond the Sport and SportNet's LA's John Hartung.
The poet laureate of baseball, the best there ever was, the voice of heaven. Those are just a few of the ways colleagues have described the great Vin Scully, but to Dodger fans, he was simply known as Vinny. In 1949, Vin was recruited by legendary broadcaster Red Barber to cover college football for CBS Sports Radio. His first assignment was a Boston University game that he broadcasted from the roof of a frigid Fenway Park, doing so without a coat or gloves. Barber was so impressed he asked the 22-year-old Scully to join him and Connie Desmond in the Brooklyn Dodgers booth for the upcoming 1950 season. After Barber left the Dodgers in 1953, Scully became the youngest man ever to broadcast a World Series game at the age of 25. When Dodgers owner Walter O'Malley moved the franchise west to Los Angeles in 1958, he didn't hesitate to bring his broadcast team of Jerry Doggett and Vin Scully with him. Together, they played a pivotal role in introducing Los Angeles to professional baseball and their boys in blue. Baseball remains the perfect canvas for Vin's artistic broadcasting palette. It was only fitting that Scully continually found himself in the catbird seat for the game's biggest moments.
What a marvelous moment for the country and the world.
a black man is getting a standing ovation in the Deep South for breaking a record of an all-time baseball idol.
It looks like he's going to burn a flag, and Rick Monday runs and takes it away from him. And so Monday, I think a guy was going to set fire to the American flag. Can you imagine that? He's got it. The Los Angeles Dodgers have just about done the impossible.
In total, Vin Scully called 25 World Series, 12 All-Star games, 3 perfect games, and 18 no-hitters. But perhaps he saved his best work for the single most important swing in the Dodgers' 100-plus year history on that fateful night in October of 1988.
High fly ball into right field. She is gone! In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened.
While he wasn't always comfortable with the spotlight, Vinny not only understood but embraced his role of ambassador for the game of baseball.
For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
The city of Los Angeles.
Let's hear it, Vin Scully!
And the loyal fan base of his beloved Dodgers.
One of the great rewards in my life is the privilege of broadcasting Los Angeles Dodger baseball to the nicest fans in the world.
While some broadcasters find it difficult to mask the inevitable signs of aging, Scully continued to call the action with the energy and attention to detail he believed it deserved.
And the fly ball to deep right, blanks to the track. It is gone. He has hit another one. Que viva Cuba! Viva Puig!
After more than 67 years, chock full of colorful observations, anecdotes, and stories that only a man of his unique talent and experience could provide, Dodger fans will forever remember him most for his signature 5-word introduction to Dodger broadcasts.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
The game goes on, and so does Vin Scully's memory.
And time goes on too. Watch our entire special with an in-depth look back at the life, career, and remarkable stories of the legendary Vin Scully with rare interviews and footage. That's going to be on the sport tonight, right here at 9 on Spectrum News 1.
Something I think has been so remarkable today is just to look through social media and hear from people who are fans of other baseball teams talking about him and his wonderful legacy, because of course Vin Scully not just beloved by Dodgers fans but by all baseball fans out there, and that's been really special to see.
Yeah, well, you know, this morning the Yankees announcer was on, and he was saying that for so many people when they met Vin Scully, it was the best day of their life, and he made them feel like it was the best day of his life when he talked to them. It's that sort of connection that he had with the players, with the community, that made him feel so special. Tonight, we'll let the legend say goodbye in his own words. Take a listen.
So this is Vin Scully wishing you a very pleasant good afternoon wherever you may be.